All right, shalom, shalom, man. All right, peace and blessing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, and we do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Shout out to the sister Mary of Bethany that anointed our King with the precious ointments before His burial. And also shout out to our ancestors that lost their lives behind keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, chiefly what you read about in First and Second Maccabees, which is what the video we finna touch on tonight, man. So Shalom, Shalom. Got the brother Denal, got the brother Isaiah, and got the brother Azrael, meaning God is my help. With a Wisdom Wednesday, man. It's called "Do You Take the Laws of God Lightly?" Right. It's a question that we can all ask ourselves. Even in this knowledge of the truth of us keeping the laws of God, do we take the laws of God lightly? Because a lot of us, we tend to, you be in the knowledge for a little minute. At first, you trying your hardest not to break no laws. Now you kind of start getting comfortable when you like a year in, 2 years, I say maybe 3. Then you start trying to bend the law and start trying to the sister she said it perfectly. She actually gonna touch on it, so I ain't gonna say too much. She actually gonna touch on what I was finna say. But before we get into the video, the brother finna play the blowing of the shofar, man, to get us started with the class. You can't hear it. Oh, there you go. Khan, man, all praise to the Most High, man, for the beautiful blowing of the shofar by that brother, or by that elder, I should say. But yeah, the video is called. Oh, I think the brother went off. What happened?
Or you wanted to keep it up?
Yeah. I'm gonna play it first before I get into the lesson. But yeah, it's called "Don't Take Yahuwah's Laws Lightly." And she's gonna touch on a few things, and then we're gonna touch on a few things, and that's gonna be the lesson. But you can go ahead and start it, King. Fair use, fair use. We don't own this video; it's for educational purposes only.
Whom the world calls Jesus Christ. Okay, can we please just talk about the law for a minute? And before I begin, let's address the elephant in the room. Yahusha, whom the world calls Jesus Christ, he did away with the law. The law is done away with. Yeah, the sacrificial law is done away with. If you say the law is done away with, I'm sorry, I think you just don't understand the new covenant, because the whole point of the new covenant was that the law would be written on our hearts. Yahusha was our atoning sacrifice.
Hey, that's a good point too. Everybody that says that the law is done away with, and they say that the law, is bad and no man can keep it. What do they think we're gonna be doing in the kingdom when the new covenant comes?
You can pull that up, King. You can pull the scripture on it, on the new covenant. That's a good point. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you can go ahead.
Because like that's what we have to look forward to. They make it their mission to talk about, you guys believe in a works-based faith, a works-based salvation. Those works can't save you. They hate the law so much, but bro, that's what we have to look forward to. That's literally the new covenant, like she said.
And the scriptures say faith without works is dead. And it's like when people like to tend to say that we teach just a work-based salvation, but no, we teach faith and works. You got to have both. What is your works? Keeping the commandments. You can't just say that you believe and have faith, and you're not putting the work. You don't have no fruits. You're not keeping the laws of God. You're saying they're done away with. We're gonna get into that. You got it. Anybody? We can do it like how we normally been doing, brothers. The brother that's at top read, then the brother, second brother.
Hebrews 8 and 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people.
So this was said in Jeremiah 31 and 31, and it's said again in Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 10. This is the new covenant, right? This is the new covenant. It just said, I will put my laws into their mind. So the question that people got to ask themselves, that's saying that you don't got to keep the law, or somebody telling you that we don't have to keep the laws of God, why is God putting the laws in our mind and writing them in our heart if we don't have to keep them?
And if they're so bad.
And if they're so bad, if they're so bad, why is God himself in the new covenant, he's putting the laws in our mind and in our hearts, meaning that when he's putting it in our heart, in our mind, that means that we're not gonna have to, we're gonna know these laws and commandments by heart. We're not gonna have to go back and read them. We're going to know the laws and commandments by heart. So if they bad, why would God put them in our heart and mind? Why didn't he say they done away with? Why did God say just forget about the law? And let me get this verse too, King. It's I think it's in Zechariah. Let me see. Can you get Zechariah chapter 14 and start at verse 16? Because even that's why it's good to get into the Old Testament. I know a lot of people don't like to get into the Old Testament. They start in the New Testament, but hey, the Old Testament, it's a lot of future prophecy that's going to take place, in the future or in the kingdom of heaven, and certain things that gotta come to pass. So let's get this, brother Denal. You can read to 18.
It says, Zechariah 14:16, it says, and it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So they say it shall come to pass, meaning this haven't happened yet, this future prophecy. The Bible says it shall come to pass out of all the nations, right? The people that's left of the nations that's the Most High reserved. He's saying they shall come up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep Feast of Tabernacles. And the reason why I brought this up, because you find Feast of Tabernacles in the law, right? The Feast of Tabernacles is spoken about in the law. That's something that the Most High God commanded his chosen people, right? The Israelites and the other nations, right? That's going to serve the Israelites. They're going to have to keep Feast of Tabernacles. And that goes back to what we just read in Hebrews 8 and 10, that we still going to be keeping the law. It's going to be in our minds and in our hearts. So this is the law. The Feast of Tabernacles is in the law that we must keep every year, that we must keep, man. Keep going, King.
Next verse, also. Azrael. Verse 17, and it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain.
So the Bible's saying if you have some people that don't come, he basically saying if you don't come up and do what the law say, it ain't gonna be no rain. This is prophecy. Although it's in the Old Testament, this has not came to pass yet. So it's gonna be no rain for the people that don't come up and keep tabernacles, which is in the law. You can get verse 18, King.
Verse 18, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So the Most High God is going to smite the heathens with a plague. Like when you read about the plagues in Egypt, that's just an example. We don't know exactly how he's going to do it. We know it's going to be no rain, but we don't know if he's going to do something else or what. But that's just an example to show that, if you have people that's not keeping the law, not trying to come up and obey what the law say and keep tabernacles, they're going to get put to death. It's gonna be a drought. It's not gonna be no rain. So this is why the law is important, because not only are we supposed to be keeping it now, we are going to be keeping it in the kingdom of heaven. Like the brother Azrael said, what do people think we're gonna be doing in the kingdom of heaven? Why the Bible don't the Bible say rehearse the righteous acts? What righteous acts are we supposed to be rehearsing right now? In the law. That's the law is righteous. And I'm gonna get that. I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm gonna get some scriptures to show that the law is good, the law is holy. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be holy, be perfect. How do we be holy? How we be perfect? How we show we love God? By keeping the law. But you can go back to the video, King, if y'all didn't have nothing else.
The sacrificial law that is done away with. You don't need to go to a Levitical priest and have him burn a bull for you. Okay, that's why we have Yahushua. That's why he died. But I am in the book of Maccabees at the minute, and oh my word, these people be putting us to shame. This morning I was reading about Hebrews who, when the Greeks were oppressing them and trying to take away their culture and abolish all of their laws, still fought so hard and still was so stubborn to keep the laws of Yahuwah. They were sneaking into the cave to observe the Sabbath privately. Some Greek leaders found out about it and came and burnt them all alive because they wouldn't defend themselves, because they held the Sabbath.
Hey, Salakia. Oh, my bad. I don't know why I just muted myself. That's Max. But I was saying I want to get that account, King, real quick, man. When they burnt them alive on the Sabbath. And me and the brother Azrael was talking before everybody had joined on. Me and the brother Azrael was like, man, that's the reason why they had to take the book of Maccabees out of your average Bible or the Apocrypha. They had to take Maccabees out because they didn't want nobody, they didn't want us to read this and revolt and be like, no, we not supposed to. Our ancestors died keeping the Sabbath day. So I'm not finna work to honor them. You know, because even today, a lot of times our people don't do certain things because of our ancestors, but they may have didn't do it. So we not gonna do it, right? We not gonna be disrespected because they weren't disrespected. So, you know, they took this out because it shows that the law is perfect, or it's important, because you have people literally choosing to die rather break the Sabbath day. What you got it, King?
God, man, and we kind of went over this yesterday, man. And so like it's amazing how all these lessons kind of tie into each other. One thing I wanted to say is I'm not necessarily sure that they burnt them with fire, but they did slew them. So she might have misspoke on that. But either way, they still died.
I think it's a scripture that say they was burnt alive though.
I think she was confusing stories, because she goes into a lot of stories that's in the Maccabees. I think she was confusing the story with when the lady with her 7 sons.
You sure? I thought. Hold up. I think it.
Because in this one, right, I know for a fact in this one they didn't burn them. They just killed them.
I think it's another one that say they was burnt.
For keeping the
that's
Sabbath.
Probably the one with the mother and the 7 sons.
Yeah. It was. No, I think. Hold up. I think it was one that was saying it was burnt for keeping this. I thought I had read it that said it was burnt one time. When they was in the. Is this the one when they was in the caves?
Yeah, this is when they ran to the caves. We read this last night.
Okay. Yeah, she might have did.
Yeah, I think she kind of.
How did the old man Eleazar die?
They tortured him.
Yeah, I think they say they tortured him. What was that? The one when it said Yeah, you might be right, King. You might be right. You might be right. Can you can read it? You can read that.
First Maccabees 2, verse 38. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath. They slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people.
Con. Matter of fact, hey, he said. Go to set. All right, I'm gonna break this down. I think it's the second Maccabees 6:11 when it was put to burnt alive. But that's a good one too. I know I had read it, so I was trying to figure it out.
I think she was just kind of getting mixed up because I think that's. I could be mistaken, but I'm thinking that's the only time they ran to the caves and was killed.
Well, this was that they ran together. I'm not sure if they ran.
I think this one they were burnt for keeping the Sabbath day.
Well, this one says in caves. So
but they were keeping the Sabbath day secretly, and they were burnt for keeping the Sabbath day. The other one, they were burnt on the Sabbath day. Like,
yeah.
The difference.
But it was still for the same reason though. So if you read the other one, right before that, it says that that they were pursued because they would not follow the king's commandment to defile the Sabbath.
The other one, I think other one, it was just.
I'm saying we read it yesterday. I read it yesterday. That's why I put it in the video yesterday. If you start at verse 29, it tells you the reason why they were killed, why the king was pursuing them is because they disobeyed him because they said they were going to keep the Sabbath.
Oh, I thought they were in the midst of war.
They were because the king was pursuing them because they would not defile their Sabbath.
Yeah.
But either way, you know what I'm saying? It's just two different accounts about the Sabbath.
Two different, and that make it even better, man. Two different accounts about the Sabbath day of people dying for not breaking it. You had brothers not willing to fight on the Sabbath day. They were like, you know what? We ain't gonna even fight. We're gonna rest. They was put to death. Then you had our people that was, seeing the wickedness that was going on of our people profaning the Sabbath day, and they like, you know what? We not finna be like that. We gonna go and keep the Sabbath, but we're gonna try to keep it secretly. And that's when they was caught and they was burnt together. It's like, bro. And this be my motivation if I ever think about just say if it ever come to me just keeping the law, taking it lightly, or the Sabbath day lightly, or something like that. I'd be like, man, if I had my ancestors getting put to death for not breaking it, that made me feel like, man, I'm disappointing them if I, start taking it lightly and start working and doing what I want to do. Like, what would they think of me? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be an example. I'm trying to be, for the Most High, try to, speak the words of God. How would they feel? How would He feel if I did that? So, yeah, man, you had mighty brothers and sisters and children that was put to death for keeping this day that people say that you don't have to keep. The Sabbath, Christ said, the Sabbath done away with. What they say, Christ said, Christ is the Sabbath. Or what they say, some madness.
Christ is the Lord. He's the Lord of the Sabbath or something like that.
Yeah, He the Lord over the Sabbath. So they said that they refer that, or they say that you don't have to keep it just because they say He's the Lord over the Sabbath.
Yeah, He's the Lord of the Sabbath, and I believe in Him, so I keep the Sabbath through Him.
Most definitely. But you can go back to the video, King.
Sacred, that they wouldn't fight for their lives because it was Shabbat. There was 2 women who had their sons circumcised. Their babies were marched around the city with them, hung by their chests, and then they were thrown off the edge of the wall for keeping the laws of Yahuwah. Okay, and then there was another guy called Eliezer who was forced to eat pork, and then his friends who were of high stature offered him a clean meat that he could pretend to eat in the place of the pork. So the Greek leaders thought that he was eating the pork, when in reality he wasn't eating the pork. But
he choked. And that story is always so cold to me, man, because it's like, bro, they told him you don't even gotta eat it. Just say that you ate it so everybody else would think that you ate it and they eat it too. So he still said no. But you have our people out here just casually eating pork bacon, casually eating pork sausage. Go ahead, King.
No, I was gonna say I believe they did a lot of our athletes and celebrities like that when it came to the vaccine. That you don't have to really take it, but tell people to take it.
Yep. Yo,
You know
that's a
what I'm
good
saying?
point. That's a good point.
So
I
we
don't
still
think
be seeing stuff like that to this day.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. Because I don't even think a lot of those celebrities actually took it. They were just telling you to take it. So that's the
Because you got to
same
think,
thing.
a lot of them spoke out and said they didn't want to take it. And then they turned around 2 seconds later and they telling us something else.
Yeah.
So
Just
to your
tell them to
point,
take it.
yeah, to your point, I don't think they really took it anyway either.
Everybody was like, just tell them to take it, and we'll slide you this couple million, a couple thousand. Just tell them. You don't even gotta take it. Just tell them to take it. And it ain't nothing new under the sun. They were telling Eleazar to do the same thing. But you don't even got, I know you don't want to eat it, but just act like it. Act like it. Go out there with pork grease on your lips and by your chin. And just act like you ate it. Go out there and be like, that bacon was good. I know what the law say. I know the law say in Leviticus 11:7, don't eat pork. But who don't know Greeks cook some good pork bacon? He was like, nah, he ain't finna do that, man. Cause that's gonna bring a stain on his name.
Yeah.
He was an elder.
They came out and they said, "Hey, it's not even from a pig. It's really a lamb chop. It's not a pork chop. The lamb was just really big. You know what I'm saying? Just pretend it's a pork chop, though."
Yep. But you can play it, King.
His death, he didn't want the younger generations to see him, who has lived so faithfully by the laws of Yahuwah his entire life up to 90 years old. He didn't want them to think that he was now turning his back on all of that. He wanted to set an example, so he chose to die. He chose to die rather than eat the swine's flesh or even pretend to eat the swine's flesh. And then here we are, taking the laws lightly. And I'm guilty of this. Like, we really go right up to the margin of what is sin and what isn't sin. We will bend the laws to fit with what we feel like doing. Oh, well, I'm not like actually eating pork properly. There's just a little bit of gelatin in these sweets. So I kept Shabbat last week. It's all right if I go out and, just skip Shabbat this week. And let's just address this quickly before you say, well, since they were so steadfast in their ways, why did Yahuwah deliver them? Because this was his way of punishing them for beginning to meddle in sin. And if you read the book of Maccabees, this concept is explained in much greater depth. Please, if you have not, go read the book of Maccabees. It's very, very inspiring. And please don't take the laws of Yahuwah to be a light thing. They are not there to restrict you. They're there to show you how to live your life to the fullest. Your creator knows you, knows what's good for you, and he knows what's not good for you. And that's why we have the laws.
Well said, man. And I think a lot of people they bend the laws of God, man.
Yes.
A lot of people bend the laws of God, and they twist the words of God to get women. They twist the words of God to make money off the words of God. They twist the words of God to basically do what they want to do. But just do what the Bible say. Do what it say. But a lot of people want to do their own thing and they try to twist it. They try to bend it. So, King, can you give me Matthew 19:16, the classic, man? Well, let's get Christ's words. Because a lot of people say you ain't got to keep the commandments no more. Christ actually came to do away with the law, is what a lot of people say. Well, Christ died, so that means we don't have to we don't have to keep the law no more. How do we get into the kingdom of heaven is the question that we ask people when we go out and teach. And this is one of the main verses that we pull. But you can read 16 and 17.
Matthew chapter 16, 19, verse 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life?
So this is somebody coming to Christ, right? They ask him, basically, what do I have to do to get the kingdom of heaven? What do I have to do to get everlasting life? And let's see what he said.
It says, and he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments.
So he's like, man, if you want everlasting life, keep the commandments. Read on, King. You can read. Matter of fact, you can read to 19.
It says, he saith unto him, which, and Isis or Jesus or Yahweh Shai says, thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So he's 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 summing up the laws of Moses. Like we see here, Christ is literally, he's quoting, or I won't say quoting. He's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, he is in a sense quoting from the laws of Moses, but you will find these laws within the laws of Moses. Honor your father and your mother. Love your neighbor as thyself. Don't kill. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness. This is in the Torah. He's telling him to keep the law. Yeah, referring. Hey, throw out of the brother Baruch, man. He's referring to the law of Moses. So, matter of fact, can you give me Matthew 5 and 17? And it's clear as day, because Christ never said that he was coming to destroy the law. So when people say that, they tend to run to Paul, and come up with their own doctrine about the law. But when we read and hear about Christ, this is what he said.
Matthew 5 and 17. I think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
So, our big brother, right? Our big brother Christ, he said, don't think that he comes to destroy the law or the prophets. Now, the question would be, why is he saying, think not? Like, why did he have to say this? And he telling people, don't think that I come to do this. Because he knew that even now in today's time, and even back then, you had the same people saying, hey, he coming to destroy the law. He coming so we ain't got to keep the law no more. We ain't got to worry about, no eating no pork no more, and unclean foods, and the Sabbath day, because he coming for that. We ain't got to keep it no more. He said, no, don't think that. He said, don't think that I'm coming to destroy the law or the prophets. I didn't come to do away with the prophets on the scene right now, or I didn't come to do away with what the prophets said before me. These things still got to come to pass. He said, I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So a lot of people use fulfill to mean destroy or done away with. But can you give me Luke? I want to say it's Luke 25 and 44. I want to say that's
24.
24 and 44?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. Let's see what he came to fulfill. So this really should be the end all be all about the law, or do we have to keep it or not? If Christ himself said he didn't come to destroy the law, why are we still saying that we don't have to keep it? But you got it, our brother got it.
This is Luke 24 and 44. It says, and he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me.
Right. So he came to fulfill the things that were spoken of him, to fulfill prophecy, because he was spoken about in the Old Testament. Go ahead, King.
If I may keep reading, it says, then open their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. Verse 46, and said unto them, thus it is written, and thus it behooved Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead the third day. So this is what it was talking about being fulfilled, because you got to understand, although it says that he came to fulfill the things that was, concerning him, in context is talking about the things that was concerning him and his suffering, because we understand that there's still more prophecy that needs to be fulfilled concerning him, like what? Him coming back. Mm-hmm. So that in itself should let you know that all things haven't been fulfilled yet. because we're still waiting for prophecy to be fulfilled.
Yeah, whenever I talk to somebody that doesn't understand what that's saying, I always tell them just that. I'll be like, "Can I ask you a question? Has Jesus fulfilled everything that he was supposed to do?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, he fulfilled everything when he died on the cross." I said, "Does Jesus have to come back?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." So I'll be like, "So did he fulfill everything?" The look on their face is like, "He
Good
fulfilled
point.
everything, bro. He did fulfill everything on that cross. He said it was over. He said it is finished on that cross." And I always say,
What
"Yeah."
he really finished was he fulfilled everything in the Old Testament.
And I tell him, I say, "Man, it was finished. Him being crucified. It was prophesied that he'd be crucified." So he was saying that that part of prophecy was finished.
Yep. Good
And
point,
so
man.
that's why we always tell people, especially other Israelites, if you don't know where somebody is going with a statement they said or a question they ask you and they bring up a verse, for example, like verse 44, right? They might be like, "Well, he fulfilled everything on the cross." You tell them, just keep reading. It's going to tell you in verse 46 what he was fulfilling, right? And that's anything when it comes to the Bible. If you just keep reading, or if you go before whatever that text says, the text is gonna be plain. It's gonna, you know what I'm saying? You can't be confounded when you're preaching the doctrine of, of God. You know what I'm saying? He said that his people would not be confounded or ashamed. So as long as you're preaching the right doctrine, man, there's no way that you can be confounded. All you got to do is take the time to read the context and to read the chapter.
Con. We're gonna get another account real quick in Matthew 23. You can start at verse 1. Another account when Christ out of his mouth telling us to keep the laws of Moses, right? The commandments.
Kind of says, "Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not."
Right. So he's talking about the scribes and Pharisees, right? He said they sit in Moses' seat because they was the ones that was really teaching the law. So he's saying all therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not after their works, for they say and do not. So he's basically telling you, do what they say. No, do what they telling you, because what they telling you, they teaching you the law. So do observe what they saying, right? When they telling you to keep the Sabbath, hey, keep the Sabbath day. Do when they reading out the law and telling you out the law, observe and do. But don't do after they works though. Don't do what they doing because they hypocrites. They teaching you to do something and they not doing it. So this is Christ basically saying to keep the law. He's saying it. He's saying keep the law, man. So you can't get around that, man. Even can you give me Romans 7 and 12? Because a lot of people, go to the brother, the mighty brother Paul, and they kind of get they this is why Peter warned you with Paul. He said some things that Paul say are hard to be understood. Because a lot of people that twist the letters of Paul, and they telling you not to keep the law. In that day, people gonna try to, in that day on Judgment Day, when they get judged, the Most High gonna be like, why you was telling people to keep the law? I mean, why was you telling people not to keep the law? And then they're gonna be like, well, Paul said it. I got that from Paul. And then Paul gonna be like, nah, I ain't tell you that. I ain't say nothing like that.
You don't bear false witness on me.
You bearing false witness. I didn't say nothing like that. I ain't say no foolishness like that. So, because he got scriptures like this to prove it. Any brother can get it.
Romans 7 and 12, it says, "Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy and just and good.
Right. So Paul, even it's even I think it's Romans. I want to say it's Romans 7:1. Paul said he speaks to them that know the law, but he's saying wherefore he's saying the law is holy, and the commandments holy, just and good. He said, "Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law have dominion over a man as long as he live." So people say Paul saying that you ain't got to keep the law no more, but Paul's saying right here that hey, the law has dominion over a man as long as he live. And he just said in verse 12, that the law is holy. So can you go to verse 22 now? Anybody want to get that?
Romans 7:22. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man.
Paul said, I delight in the law after the inward man, the laws of God, after this inward man, right? That the spirit. He delight in the law. His flesh want him to go against it. His flesh want to do what they want to do. But he's saying his inward man, the one that's important. He's saying he delight in the law, man. My spirit delights in the laws of the Most High God, man. And why he's saying that? Can you give me Proverbs 6 and verse 23?
Cain.
Hey man, Proverbs 6 and 23. The law is a light, man. You know, when you in darkness, what you need light.
Come on. Proverbs 6:23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Man, the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproof of instruction are the ways of life. So, like, man, if the law is just so good, why would the Most High take it away from us? It's the question. If it spoke about so good and holy and being a light and a lamp to us, why would it be taken away? We see how the world looks now without the laws of God. We see how the world getting ran right now. We see how people are acting. It's in complete darkness and chaos because a lot of people are not keeping the laws of God because they're getting told that it's done away with. So can somebody give me 1 Timothy 1:8?
Con, I'll add to that, again, the laws of God definitely are not a thing meant to be bad. That's why Paul said, therefore the law sin. And then he says, what? God forbid, because people was trying to teach that, the law was sin. It was almost like a sin to subjugate yourself to the laws of God. But that's not what Paul was teaching.
Con, man. Like I said in that day, Paul gonna be like, man, I didn't tell you, I wasn't saying that, man. Which I think the Most High used him to write like that for a certain, like, kind of say that or say certain things, like when people think that the law is done away with. I think he was used to say that like that for a reason, man, just to be a stumbling block to some people, because everybody ain't gonna make it. So and a lot of people's stumbling block gonna be Paul. So
That's what Peter said.
yep. Peter said it, man. Some things that Paul say are hard to be understood. If you don't read the Old Testament, I don't think that you should be trying to break down Paul. Like if you don't like read the prophecies and things like that, you shouldn't be trying to break down Paul, man, because you don't know really what's going on. You skip the Old Testament, so you're missing a lot of history. You're missing a lot of information. So to jump into Paul letters, it's like you jumping into that's just like somebody trying to learn trigonometry or something like that, and you in middle school trying to learn college trigonometry, and you just jump in it. You ain't even took middle school trigonometry or whatever, high school. You try to jump straight to college and think you got it figured out. You know, you gonna butcher it. You gonna be confused. You gonna come up with all different type of stuff. So if you don't read the Old Testament or even just read the Apocrypha, you're not gonna really understand Paul's letters. You know, you're gonna twist it and say the law done away with. You're not gonna read the scriptures in the Old Testament that's speaking positive of the law. And you don't if you haven't read the law, you're not gonna understand. Okay, these things in the law are positive, right? These things are helping me. The law, the Most High God got eating law in Leviticus 11, saying things that we can and can't eat to benefit us. Right? He telling us, he got a law to tell us that we can't bear no grudge against our neighbor. We have to love our neighbor. He got laws to help the poor, help the widows, help the fatherless. So like these things are to help us and benefit us as a people. So why would it be taken away? But if you don't read the Old Testament or read the law, you're not going to understand that. Did we break that? We read that yet?
No. 1 Timothy 1:8. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully.
Right. He's saying, but the law is good if a man use it lawfully. So so when you read it, as I said, when you read it, Paul is telling you, man, he's saying the law is good, man. If a man use it lawfully. So meaning when you truly get into the law, man. And I was really just looking into the law. I was just like, man, I don't understand why people, say what they say. It's good. You using it to benefit. It's to benefit. It's to benefit us as a people. So it just don't make sense, man. That all just comes with trying to destroy us as a people. You won't keep the laws of God, you in sin. If you don't, because matter of fact, can you give me 1 John 3 and 4? Because if you don't keep the laws of God, you would technically be that will make you in sin, because sin is the transgression of the law.
Got it, Denal.
This is 1 John 3 and 4. It says, whosoever committeth sin transgresses also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
So he says, if you commit sin, how we determine sin is by going to the law. Right? Going to the law shows us what is sin. Sin is the transgression of the law. So when people are thinking that the law is done away with and that you don't have to keep the laws of God, people are in sin and don't even know it. If you don't keep the law, if you don't keep the laws of Moses, because Christ, I'm gonna say the laws of God. I ain't gonna call them the laws of Moses, the laws of God. Because even when Christ was on the scene, he was referring to the laws of Moses, or the laws of God, which was the Torah. So, so sin is the transgression of the law, man. So you have to have the law in order to know that you're in sin. If you don't have the law, you don't know if you're in sin. You're in sin unknowingly. Can you give me John 14 and 15? I'm almost done. I got 3 more verses. So I'm gonna close out.
I got a precept whenever I can fit that in too.
You can get after this one, King. Now this is red letters. This is Yahweh Shai speaking. John 14 and 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. So he's saying, man, if you love me, bro, keep my commandments, man. So this is how we show God or show Christ that we love him. by keeping the commandments. That's the works. People say, oh, you don't have to have work. Matter of fact, let me get this one scripture and I'll let you pull your scripture, King.
No,
Can
you
you
good.
James chapter 1 and verse 22? You have to have works. Not saying that works alone. Not saying that works alone. You have to have both faith and works. I'm just saying, we just saying that you have to have works as well as you have faith. He said, oh, I let a brother read it.
Come on, man. This is what Denal always tell people. Deshaun Jordan says people don't understand what Paul was conveying. The law of sin and death is what Christ came to deliver us from the condemnation of the law. Romans 8, right? And I believe we had a video not too long ago going into that. Believe it's like Romans 6, Romans 7, and Romans 8 going into it. Or is it Romans 7, 8, and 9? It's a trio, though. I know that for a fact. But once you actually read Romans, man, you'll understand what the law was, because there was multiple laws being talked about in context. So, con to the brother. This is James 1 and 22. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
Right. So, he's saying be doers of the word and not hearers only. So a lot of people just say they got faith. They hear somebody talking the word, speaking the word, and they be like, okay, I believe now. I believe that they be like, I believe that Jesus Christ is my savior. He died for me. But then they leave it at that. Or that's it. Or a lot of people go to the greatest commandments and they be like, those the commandments that them the only ones that we got to keep. But not knowing, matter of fact, I'm gonna get there. But yeah, so you have to, he said, don't be just hearers only. So these things are said because I believe a lot of these things were written because you had people teaching these things or doing these things. So they telling you, don't just be hearers only, but do what you hearing. Doing what you read, not the scriptures. Do what you read in the law. Don't just be hearers of it. Like a lot of our people is now. Oh, man, I know what the Bible say I ain't supposed to eat no swine. They know it, but they still do it. So he's saying, be doers of the word and don't just hear it, but do it. But you got the brother now. You get your precept.
I think it's Psalms 19 and 10. Come on, man. This is Psalms 19 and 10. It says, more to be desired are they than gold. If you can start at verse 9, I think. Verse 9 says, the fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. Keep reading. Go to verse 10. More to be desired than gold, yea, they much fine gold, sweeter also than the honey and the honeycomb. Keep reading. Verse 11. Make it big. Might be in verse 8 where it says this. Verse 7, right there. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple, right? Just emphasizing that the law of the Lord is perfect. And if you keep reading, that's when it starts talking about how sweet it is, how it's sweet like the honeycomb and all of that, right? Just to land me back on, the brother Obadiah's point that the law was always mentioned as a good thing, right? A lot of people love honey, right? And honey is looked at as a delicacy and was looked at kind of like a dessert, right? Not only that, man, when you look into honey, you got a lot of health benefits, right? Just to land me back on the brother Obadiah's point that the law was always referred to as a good thing. So this thing about the law being referred to as something bad is a new thing, kind of a new thing on the earth, right? Because Paul wasn't even saying it was bad. Right, you.
Good point, King. That's a
Uh,
good point, man.
hey, could I call a precept to the forefront?
Go
I
ahead.
think it's Psalms 111 and 10, or 110 and 11. Check 110 and 11 first. If it's not 110 and 11, then it's 111 and 10. Because it may not be no verse 11 in chapter 110. It's like, yeah, I can't.
Psalms 111 and 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever.
Right? So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The part I want to emphasize is it says a good understanding have all they that do what? That keep his commandments. So a lot of our people, they teach, they kind of think that Paul is telling us not to keep the law, which is primarily why they don't understand, because they don't keep the commandments of the Lord, you know? So therefore, like Peter said, Paul's words being hard understood, a lot of our people won't get it because they fail to do the things that the Most High told us to do in his word, right? Even when he gave it to Moses, even as Christ told us in Matthew 5 that he didn't come to do away with it. So I just wanted to make that a point of emphasis as well, that a lot of people won't get it because they're not doing it.
He said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, a good understanding of all they that do his commandments. His praise endures forever. And again, a lot of people don't know this because they don't put forth the effort to read the Old Testament. You know, and it's crazy because when you get a book, you don't start reading it. You don't, any book you get, you don't start reading at the back of the book because you skip it. Like a lot of people are missing a lot of history and information when you just skip the Old Testament. Like it's a lot of information, a lot of prophecy in there, a lot of wisdom in there that a lot of people just missing when they go into the back of the book and starting in the New Testament. And it's like, you know, that's why people really don't understand, you know. So King, can you get Matthew chapter 22 and verse 36 through 40? Because a lot of people use this verse to say that you know that you only have to keep two of the that you only got to keep two laws, you know, and that's it. But that's not the case. He was just saying these were the greatest, and I'm gonna show how he literally summed up the whole law in this verse.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto them, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
So so he's really matter of fact, King, can you pull up the 10 commandments on the screen? So what we see Yahushua doing, right? He basically just summing up the law. He's not saying them the only two that you got to keep, but when you read even just the 10 commandments, you got when you read the 10 commandments, the 10 commandments are loving the Most High with all your heart, with all your soul, and loving your neighbor. See when you read it, when you get it, the brother finna make it bigger. See you make it bigger. See if a bigger picture come on there. So when it says, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no other gods before me, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother. These are loving the Most High God with all your heart, with all your soul, man. Because if you would do these things, right? You wouldn't make no idols. You wouldn't take His name in vain. You would do this, keep the Sabbath day holy because you love Him and He said to. You honor your father and your mother because He said to. That's showing the Most High God that you love Him with all your heart, with all your soul. Then the rest of them, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery, right? If you love your neighbors yourself, you wouldn't kill him. You wouldn't commit adultery with his wife. You wouldn't steal from him. You wouldn't bear false witness against them, and you wouldn't covet what they have. So, and even then, the 10 Commandments was summed up the whole law as well too. Just like how Christ summed up the 10. The 10 was summed up from the whole Torah, man, just to make it a little easier for people to really get it. But it's more laws in the Torah though. But these hang the whole Torah is really based off what Christ said. Loving the Most High God with all your heart, with all your soul, and loving your neighbor as yourself. That's the whole law. When you read the law, that's what it's talking about. The whole law is talking about those two things. And that hangs the law.
The brother Baruch says, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 2 and 15, they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways.
Con, man, my bad. So like I said, they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his way. What are his ways? Right? It's telling you to do something. Even when you get Revelation 22 and 14, that's the last book of the Bible. Oh, the brother, I think somebody said something. Sean Jordan. I got to start looking in the chat more. He said those two sum the whole law up. If you observe those, you actually coming into its fulfillment. Yeah, man. And that the scriptures say, "Be ye therefore perfect." You have people saying you can't be perfect, but the scriptures say multiple times to be perfect. How do we be perfect? Right? Of course, having faith in the Most High God and His Son, and also keeping the commandments. That's what makes us perfect. It was people before us that was perfect, that was called perfect people. So it's possible to be perfect. But if you saying that you ain't got to keep the laws of God, you ain't gonna be perfect. If you ain't saying the laws are done away with, how you gonna be perfect without them? So yes, can the brother read that?
It's Revelation 22 and 14. It says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city."
So this is it's said even in the New Testament. This is the last book of the Bible, and it's still saying that you blessed if you keep the commandments of God. So if you don't keep them, what that make you? It make you cursed. So he's saying you're blessed if you keep the commandments. This is how you're gonna enter into and this is the same thing that Yahushua told that the dude that came and asked him, "What do I have to do to get everlasting life?" He said, "Hey, keep the commandments." That's how you get into the way of eternal life. Keeping the laws of God is how you're going to get into the gates into the city, man. That's how you're going to get in there. If you don't keep the commandments of God, you're not going to get in, man. So, can I get 1 John chapter 2 and verse 3 through 4, and I'll close out on that.
Gone. 1 John chapter 2, chapter 2, verses 3 through 4. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. Verse 4. He that saith I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him.
Get verse 5, King.
Verse 5. But whoso keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him.
So I was just speaking on being perfect, man. And it say the love of God is perfected in you if you keep his word. What is his word? What he's saying? In verse 3, and hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. It's a lot of people saying they know him. I got a personal relationship with him. I pray to him every day, and he answered me. But the Bible said, verse 4, he that said, I know him and keep not his commandments. So if this is how you know if somebody truly love God or not, or this is how you know if they lying or not. If they saying they love God and they saying the law is done away with, or they not keeping the commandments of God, they don't love him. This ain't my words. I didn't write this in the Bible. It says he that said I know him and keep not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So, hey man, this in the New Testament too. First John, this is First John saying if you don't keep the commandments and saying you love God, you're a liar. You know, so that's just what it is, man. That's the word. But all praise to the Most High for this lesson. And there's plenty more other scriptures going into how we must keep the law. We got to understand this is a covenant, right? The laws of God are not just something that you just say that you don't do or want to do no more and throw in the trash. This was a covenant that he made with his chosen people through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These laws are our life. This is our life, man. Okay. This is who we are. These laws is part of our heritage that we must keep. And we waking up and coming back to it and realizing, man, we the people of the covenant. We got to keep these laws and commandments. The reason why we in this position right now, read Deuteronomy 28. The reason why we in this position right now because we didn't obey the laws. We didn't obey the covenant that we made with the Most High God. So he's punishing us. Like the sister said in Maccabees, you know, there was getting a lot of our people was getting punished because they didn't want to keep the laws of God. And it's a common pattern throughout the Bible when the Israelites disobey the laws of God and want to do what they want to do and start getting into idolatry and adultery and doing God knows what. He always send a nation from afar to come and put them in slavery, put us in slavery. He always do that, man. So we must keep the laws of God, man. This is how we live. This is how we, like the brother Bruce said earlier, this is how we shine, right? This is how we be a light. Okay. By keeping the laws of God. The laws of God are going to be taught in the kingdom of heaven. So, you know, all praise to the Most High, man. Any brother want to say something?
Oh man, let your light so shine, man. Y'all know how to. Y'all now know how to shine.
And that's how we know it's true, because when we keep the commandments of God, right? When you start, this how you know you stand out. This you been a light. You stand out, and people see you. When they see, hold up, that person not working on Saturday, they resting on Saturday. Hold up, they don't eat pork or crab, shrimp, or lobster. What? They don't commit adultery. They don't do nothing like that. That makes you stand out because you being that light, man. That's how it's supposed to be. So all praise to the Most High, man. You know,
man, I wanted to go ahead. Talk about the lukewarmness. You know, God say He's gonna spew you out His mouth if you lukewarm, man. So, like the title of this video says, "Do you take the law of God lightly?" That's what it means to take it lightly. Is to be lukewarm, right? I don't know too many people like lukewarm coffee, right? Usually, when it comes to beverages, you want it either hot or cold. If your beverage is room temperature, unless you're weird, you know, if your beverage is room temperature, you're not going to drink it. It's going to go to waste, right? How many of us have, been to a family reunion or a cookout or a feast day, holy day, and you see just half full bottles everywhere of water or juice or whatever. People don't drink it no more when it's room temperature, right? You end up throwing it away, just like we throw it away. Right, when whoever's cleaning up and you going around be like, God, dog, all these bottles, everybody wasting my water. You going around looking at empty cans. I mean half full cans of ginger ale, Sprite, or whatever. Like nobody was finishing their stuff. And now what you doing? You throwing it away. That's what the Most High God gonna do to you, man. When you don't take His laws serious, He's gonna spew you out His mouth. So you gotta take them serious. Stop taking it as advice, but take it as a command, because they are commandments. Other than that, mighty lesson. I yield.
Man, mighty lesson. 1 John 5:3. For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. Says the same thing in 1 John 5:2. Hereby we do know that we love the children of God when we love God and keep His commandments. So at the end of the day, we got to be devout. That's the way we get back to having stories like we read in the Maccabees of devout men and women, is that we become the devout men and women that we read about. Become mighty lesson.
All praise to the Most High, man. So with that, the brother Azrael gonna be back on here Friday, right, with another lesson. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shema Washai. We the hopeful elect, and we say Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.